Hi, it's Kevin Bates here, and in the previous video where I was talking a bit more about this exemplary chess blockchain system in order to illustrate some of the principles of blockchain, I mentioned the problem of governance. So maybe I should start this video by defining what I think governance actually is. Governance is the set of incentives and mechanisms for cooperation that exist in a blockchain, and some of these are kind of baked into the system and rely on the psychology of the participants in order to keep the system running. So if, for example, you provide incentives in the form of giving miners block rewards in order to mine more and more blocks, you actually have an extra thing that arises there, which is that because these cryptocurrencies or tokens have value, miners will probably, if they are rational, use their mining power in order to maintain the integrity of the blockchain. Because if you have a big mining farm and you're mining lots of coins, you don't want to disrupt the system that is making you profit. You don't want to basically slaughter the goose that's laying the golden eggs. So that's an example of an incentivization system that arises in blockchain. However, when it comes to making changes to the fundamental protocol, then suddenly you have to step outside the system, and then you're in a situation where you have to actually mediate and negotiate between the different parties in order to make changes to the protocol. Now, some of these things can be done in an amicable way by the relevant parties sitting down and having a committee meeting and making some decisions. However, blockchain offers a second way of ensuring cooperation, and that is basically the system of voting with your feet. And we've seen this, for example, in Bitcoin, where when changes are made and you end up with a fork and Bitcoin splits off into, say, Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Classic and Bitcoin Gold and whatever, people who believe that they have more to gain by joining one branch rather than the other move their effort, their transactions or their mining equipment to focus on that particular chain. So it is very democratic in that sense, in that you actually have a vote as a participant on whether you're going to work on one branch or another, or even multiple branches. And that, I think, is something quite unusual in the technology space. So how would this translate across to the chess system? Well, I think that the clearest thing there is that the chess system actually only really has one set of participants at the moment, in the way that I described it, namely the players. But how are we going to ensure that the blocks are added properly? At the moment, the best system we have is Nakamoto consensus proof of work mining. So maybe you would have a second group in the form of miners who are actually maintaining the integrity of the system, and they are somehow getting tokens too in order to be rewarded for putting all that effort in. Now, it's not clear to me in the chess system exactly how you would go about incentivizing them. Probably giving them some kind of token is the traditional way of doing this in the blockchain world, but I will have to think a bit more about how the blockchain would actually be maintained and how network security would be established. But that'll probably be the topic of the next video if I can come up with some answers. So in the meantime, bye for now, and see you in the next video.